The 15-minute revolution. The opening truth. Right now someone is waking up and doing something you have never been told about, and when you finally understand what it is, you will feel two things at once, and neither of them will be comfortable. You will feel relief because the path forward is so much simpler than you ever imagined, and you will feel frustration, maybe even anger, because you will wonder how many years you wasted stumbling through mornings, half-conscious, reactive, and always behind. There is a woman, and her name does not matter because her story is your story and my story and the story of millions of people who look successful from the outside while something is dying on the inside. She had everything the world tells you to chase, and she got it, and she woke up every single day feeling like she was already losing a race that started without her. Her alarm was an assault and her phone was a vampire, and by the time she arrived at work she was exhausted, not from doing anything that mattered but from reacting to everything that did not matter at all. One afternoon she put her head in her hands and realized she could not remember the last time she felt like she was driving her own life instead of being dragged behind it. What happened next is what I am going to give you today. But first you need to understand that this is not another productivity trick, and this is not going to tell you to wake up before the sun and meditate until your legs go numb while drinking something green that tastes like regret. What I am going to share with you is a precise 15-minute sequence that creates measurable physical changes in your brain, and I do not mean metaphorically, I mean literally, and the research comes from Stanford and Harvard and NYU, and the changes are visible on brain scans. Your neural architecture will reorganize itself, and your capacity for focus and decision-making and emotional control will expand in ways you can measure. 15 minutes. That is the investment. And here is what makes this different from everything else you have tried. It actually works. The morning hijack. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself because nobody else is listening. What is the first thing you do when you wake up? Before your feet touch the floor, before you take a conscious breath, before you set any intention for the day ahead, what do you reach for? The research says you reach for your phone within 12 minutes of opening your eyes, and if you are like most people, it is faster than that. And here is what nobody told you about that habit. When you check your phone first thing in the morning, you are not just wasting time, you are chemically sabotaging your entire day. You flood your system with cortisol and adrenaline before you have even stood up. You activate your fight or flight response in bed. You train your brain to be reactive instead of creative, defensive instead of generative, following instead of leading. You hand the steering wheel of your consciousness to advertisers and algorithms and other people's emergencies before you have taken a single breath for yourself. And then you wonder why you feel behind all day. But it does not have to be this way. The most successful people on the planet have discovered something that changes everything. The first 15 minutes after you wake up are not ordinary minutes. They are a neurological window of extraordinary opportunity. Your brain in those moments is more receptive to change, more capable of forming new patterns, more primed for what scientists call neuroplasticity than at any other time of day. Miss this window and you swim upstream all day long. Capture this window and everything else becomes easier. This is not theory. This is not something I made up to sound impressive. This is documented, measurable, repeatable science. And I am going to give you the exact blueprint. The 7 enemies you cannot see. Before I give you the system, you need to understand why everything you have tried before has failed. It is not because you are lazy. It is not because you lack discipline. It is not because you do not want success badly enough. The reason you have failed is because you have been fighting invisible enemies that you did not even know existed. I call them the 7 saboteurs, and once you see them, you will never unsee them. The first saboteur is decision fatigue loading. Every morning before most people even get out of bed, their brains are already burning through their daily supply of decision-making energy. What should I wear, and what should I eat, and should I work out now or later, and should I check my phone first or after I shower? Each tiny decision seems meaningless, but neuroscience tells us your brain has a limited supply of decision-making fuel each day, and every choice you make, no matter how small, draws from that same finite tank. There was a study that analyzed over 1,100 judicial rulings, and what they found was disturbing. Early in the morning, judges made thoughtful, nuanced decisions, but by late morning, after making dozens of small choices, they defaulted to the easiest option almost every time. Your brain does the same thing. When you wake up making decisions, you are draining the mental energy you need for the choices that actually matter. This is why Mark Zuckerberg wears the same gray shirt and why Steve Jobs wore the same black turtleneck and why Barack Obama only wore blue or gray suits. They were not being eccentric. They were being strategic. Every decision you eliminate in the morning is brain power preserved for the decisions that create success. The second saboteur is reactive morning syndrome. You wake up and you reach for your phone and you tell yourself you are just checking the time, but then you see a notification and your attention gets hijacked. Your brain shifts from a proactive state where you generate ideas and set priorities into a reactive state where you respond to external demands and defend against problems. And here is the crucial part. Once you shift into reactive mode, it is extremely hard to shift back. Studies show that people who check their phones first thing are 70% more likely to feel stressed throughout the entire day. Arianna Huffington built and sold the Huffington Post for over $300 million, and she credits changing this single habit as one of the most important decisions she ever made. The third saboteur is the motivation trap. Most people believe they need to feel motivated before they can take action. They wait until they feel inspired to work out. They wait until they feel energized to be productive. They wait until they feel ready to tackle their goals. Here is the truth that will set you free. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like weather. It is strong when things are easy and vanishes the moment you face resistance. If you build your morning on motivation, you are building on sand. Stephen King has written over 60 novels and he has maintained the exact same morning routine for over 40 years. He sits in the same chair, arranges his papers in identical positions, plays the same music, takes the same vitamin drinks from the same glass, and then writes 6 pages. He does not wait for inspiration. He does not check how he feels. He executes the system and lets inspiration follow action. The top performers do not rely on motivation. They rely on systems. The fourth saboteur is complexity paralysis. People think morning routines need to be elaborate. They see interviews with successful people talking about their 90-minute rituals and they design these complex programs that feel great for about 2 days. Then they miss one morning and the whole thing collapses. Research from MIT shows that habit formation accelerates dramatically when routines are simple and short. Complex routines trigger resistance and abandonment. Simple routines become automatic and self-reinforcing. A study followed 96 people for 254 days and found that simple habits became automatic in an average of 66 days, while complex habits took over 150 days or never became automatic at all. Complexity is the enemy of consistency. And consistency is the only thing that creates transformation. The fifth saboteur is starting without a clear why. Most people try to build morning routines because they think they should. But should is weak fuel. Should burns out fast. When your alarm goes off and your bed is warm and your pillow is soft, should is not going to get you up. The people who succeed have a why that is so compelling, so connected to their identity and deepest values that the morning routine stops being optional and starts being essential. The sixth saboteur is perfectionism in disguise. Someone starts a morning routine and does great for 5 days, and then one morning they oversleep or a child gets sick and they miss it entirely. Most people, when this happens, feel like they failed. They think the streak is broken, so what is the point? Researchers call this the what the hell effect. But the research shows that consistency beats perfection every single time. 80% adherence produces better long-term results than sporadic 100% adherence. 1 miss is life. 2 misses is a pattern. Get back on track immediately. The seventh saboteur is expecting immediate results. We live in an instant gratification culture. When people do not feel dramatically different after a week, they conclude it does not work and they quit. But neuroplasticity follows predictable timelines. You get acute effects within 24 hours. You get short-term adaptations in 2 to 8 weeks. You get long-term structural changes in 3 to 6 months. This is not a quick fix. This is a transformation. And transformation takes time. Now that you can see these 7 enemies, you can engineer your routine to avoid them entirely. And that is exactly what I am going to show you. The 15-minute architecture. Everything you need happens in 15 minutes divided into 5 precise components. 2 minutes for hydration and breathing. 5 minutes for movement and activation. 3 minutes for mental programming. 3 minutes for priority setting. 2 minutes for visualization and intention. Each component serves a specific neurological purpose. Each one builds on the one before. Together they create a compound effect far more powerful than any single element alone. Let me walk you through exactly what happens and why it works. The moment you wake up, your body is in a state of crisis you do not recognize. You have gone 6 to 8 hours without water. Your brain, which is 75% water, has literally been shrinking overnight. This is not exaggeration. MRA studies show that even mild dehydration reduces brain volume and impairs cognitive function by up to 12%. Most people reach for coffee first. This is a mistake. Coffee is a diuretic. It increases dehydration before providing any benefits. Instead, the first thing you do is drink 16 to 20 ounces of water. This immediately begins rehydrating your brain cells. It kickstarts your metabolism. It signals to your entire body that rest is over and it is time to perform. While drinking that water, you take 10 deep breaths using a specific pattern. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 7 counts. Exhale through your mouth for 8 counts. This is called the 4-7-8 technique, and it activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Most people wake up with elevated cortisol. Their nervous system is in fight or flight before anything has even happened. The 4-7-8 breathing flips a switch in your brain from reactive mode to creative mode. Navy SEALs use breathing techniques to stay calm under fire. Professional athletes use them before competition. Elite performers understand that controlling your breath means controlling your state. 2 minutes. That is all it takes. Now you wake up your body. This is not a workout. This is strategic activation. 5 minutes of targeted movement designed to achieve 3 specific outcomes. Increased blood flow to the brain. Release of performance-enhancing neurochemicals. Activation of dormant muscle groups and neural pathways. You start with 30 seconds of jumping jacks or high knees to get your heart rate elevated quickly. This increases circulation and flushes toxins while delivering fresh oxygen to your brain. Then 90 seconds of dynamic stretching. Arm circles and leg swings and torso twists. You are waking up muscles that have been compressed and inactive for hours. Then 2 minutes of bodyweight exercises. Pick one. Push-ups or squats or planks. Do as many quality repetitions as you can. The goal is not exhaustion. The goal is activation. End with 60 seconds of spinal movement. Gentle twists and shoulder rolls. Your spine houses your entire nervous system. When you move your spine, you send activation signals throughout your body. Here is why this 5-minute sequence is so powerful. Movement in the morning triggers the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists call it miracle grow for your brain. It promotes the growth of new neurons, strengthens existing connections, and enhances learning and memory. Morning exercise triggers a 200 to 300% increase in this substance. And it elevates for 8 to 12 hours. You are operating with enhanced brain function all day long. But that is just one chemical. Morning movement also releases endorphins and dopamine and norepinephrine and serotonin. You are giving yourself a natural performance enhancement stack that pharmaceutical companies spend billions trying to replicate. 5 minutes. Free and legal and available every morning. Now you enter the command center. Your brain has been primed. Your body has been activated. Your neurochemistry has been optimized. This is the moment you take direct control of your mental state. 3 minutes. 90 seconds of gratitude. 90 seconds of identity-based affirmations. Most people wake up in a state of lack. They immediately think about what they have to do and what problems they face and what they do not have enough of. Their first conscious thoughts are about deficiency and pressure. This activates the fear centers of your brain. Cortisol floods your system. You enter a defensive psychological state before you have even left your bedroom. Gratitude practice rewires this pattern at the neurological level. Think of 3 specific things you are grateful for. Not vague categories. Specific things. The conversation you had last night. The meal you enjoyed yesterday. The project that excites you. But here is the crucial part. Do not just list them mentally. Actually feel the emotion of appreciation. Let it spread through your body. Research shows that gratitude practice increases activity in your prefrontal cortex while decreasing activity in your amygdala. You are strengthening the rational part of your brain while quieting the fear part. A study followed participants for 8 weeks of gratitude practice, and brain scans showed increased gray matter density in areas associated with learning and memory. This is not temporary mood improvement. This is permanent brain renovation. After 90 seconds of gratitude, transition into identity-based affirmations. Now I know affirmations can feel awkward. Most of them are designed wrong. Saying I am confident when you do not feel confident creates cognitive dissonance. Your brain rejects statements that contradict your self-image. Identity-based affirmations work differently. Instead of claiming a state you do not feel, you affirm the person you are becoming. Instead of I am confident, say I am someone who takes action despite fear. Instead of I am successful, say I am someone who follows through on commitments. These statements describe a direction, not a destination. They align with your brain's need for consistency while creating space for growth. Stand tall when you say them. Make strong gestures. Speak with conviction. Your physiology influences your psychology. Research shows that people who practice affirmations while embodying confident postures show increased activity in brain areas associated with self-worth. These changes predict real-world behavior changes weeks later. 3 minutes. And you have shifted your entire psychological operating system. Now you take control of your day before your day takes control of you. Most people start their mornings reactive. They check email and inherit other people's priorities. They look at their calendar and feel overwhelmed. They create lists with 20 items and wonder why nothing important gets done. The problem is not time management. The problem is priority management. Here is what you do. Write down your number 1 priority for the day. Not your to-do list. Not your top 3. Your single most important outcome. The one thing that if you accomplished nothing else would make this day a success. Most people resist this. They say everything is important. But when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. Your brain cannot focus on 20 things simultaneously. Research shows that people who try to focus on multiple priorities are 50% less productive than those who focus on one thing at a time. Then identify the first action you will take to move that priority forward. Not the perfect action. Just the first action. Write it down. People who write down specific first actions are 43% more likely to complete their goals. Finally, identify your focus window. The specific time block when you will work on this priority with 0 distractions. Schedule it like an appointment with your future self. Treat it as non-negotiable. 3 minutes to identify your priority, your first action, and your focus window. You have given your brain a clear target. The final 2 minutes are about programming your subconscious for success. This is the same technique used by Olympic athletes and elite surgeons and special forces operators. Spend 90 seconds visualizing yourself executing your number 1 priority with excellence. Close your eyes. See yourself starting the task with complete focus. See yourself working through challenges with persistence. See yourself completing the work with satisfaction. But here is the key. Do not just visualize the outcome. Visualize the process. Research shows that process visualization increases performance dramatically, while outcome visualization alone shows almost no improvement. You want to see yourself doing the work, handling obstacles, maintaining focus. Not just holding the trophy at the end. Your brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you visualize success, you create neural pathways that make actual success more automatic. End with 30 seconds of intention setting. Choose 3 words that describe how you want to show up today. Focused, energetic, decisive. Whatever resonates. Repeat them with conviction. Feel them in your body. 2 minutes. And you have programmed your subconscious for peak performance. That is the complete sequence. 15 minutes. And in those 15 minutes you have rehydrated your brain. You have shifted your nervous system into optimal state. You have flooded your body with performance-enhancing neurochemicals. You have programmed your psychology for success. You have clarified your priority and first action. You have mentally rehearsed peak performance. You have set clear intentions for who you want to be. You have not just prepared for your day. You have engineered your day. The neuroscience of transformation. What I just shared might sound too simple. 15 minutes to rewire your brain. 15 minutes to transform your life. Let me explain exactly why this works so you never want to skip it again. When you first open your eyes in the morning, your brain is in a unique state called the hypnopompic state. This is the transition between sleep and full consciousness. Your brain waves are primarily in theta frequency, oscillating between 4 and 8 Hz. Theta state is the most neuroplastic state your brain naturally enters. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to form new connections and rewire itself. In theta, your brain is extraordinarily receptive to new patterns, new behaviors, new programming. This is why the morning routine is exponentially more powerful than doing the same activities at any other time. You are not just doing exercises. You are doing them while your brain is in its most changeable state. Research shows that a single repetition of a new behavior in theta state can create neural pathways that would take dozens of repetitions during normal consciousness. This window closes within about 60 minutes of waking. Most people waste it entirely. They stumble to the bathroom. They check their phones. They drink coffee and scroll. By the time they start anything intentional, the hypnopompic window has closed. The 15-minute protocol captures this window. It uses the most neuroplastic minutes of your day for deliberate targeted brain optimization. When you drink water first thing, you reverse the dehydration that occurred overnight. Your brain cells expand to optimal volume. Neural transmission speeds up. Cognitive function improves within minutes. The controlled breathing stimulates your vagus nerve. This is the longest nerve in your body, connecting your brainstem to most of your major organs. When you practice extended exhales, you activate what researchers call the ventral vagal complex. This puts your entire nervous system into calm alertness. Not stressed. Not sluggish. Optimal. Research shows that coherent breathing patterns create synchronization between your heart rhythm, breathing pattern, and brain waves. In this state, decision-making improves by 22%. Reaction time improves by 15%. Emotional stability improves by 18%. And with consistent practice, this becomes your new baseline. The movement component triggers brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This protein promotes survival of existing brain cells, encourages growth of new cells, and strengthens synaptic connections. Morning exercise can increase it by 200 to 300% above baseline. This effect lasts 8 to 12 hours. You operate with enhanced learning capacity all day. The gratitude practice triggers dopamine release from your brainstem. This is the same dopamine that occurs when you achieve a goal. But with gratitude, you generate it simply by appreciating what you already have. This creates a psychological shift. Instead of constantly chasing the next achievement for your next dopamine hit, you learn to generate positive neurochemistry from your current circumstances. When you write down your priorities, something specific happens in your brain. Participants who wrote their goals were 42% more likely to achieve them. Writing engages additional brain regions beyond just thinking. The goal becomes encoded more deeply. But the most important effect involves your reticular activating system. This is the gatekeeper of your attention. It decides what information deserves your conscious awareness. When you clarify a priority, you program this system to notice anything relevant to that priority. Opportunities become visible. Resources become obvious. Connections appear. You have literally changed what your brain pays attention to. When you visualize performing an action, your brain activates many of the same networks that fire when you actually perform it. One study had 2 groups learning piano. One practiced physically. One only visualized. After 5 days, brain scans showed both groups developed nearly identical changes in motor cortex organization. The visualization group changed their brains without ever touching the keys. When you do all 5 components in sequence, they create neuroplasticity enhancement. Each component primes your brain for the next. The effects compound and multiply. Studies show that people with consistent morning routines have 23% lower cortisol throughout the day, 31% better decision-making, 42% higher life satisfaction. Their brains are optimized for success while everyone else operates on default settings. Building the unbreakable habit. Everything I have shared will transform your life. But only if you actually do it. And this is where most people fail. They get excited and they design elaborate plans and they last about 3 days before returning to their old patterns. So let me tell you how to make this permanent. In week 1 you do only 2 minutes. Just the hydration and breathing. Set your alarm 2 minutes earlier. The moment you wake up, drink your water and do 10 deep breaths. Then stop. Do not add anything else. This feels too small. Trust me. You are building what researchers call a tiny habit. You are creating a neural pathway that requires minimal energy. You are proving to yourself that you are the kind of person who keeps commitments. Each morning you complete those 2 minutes, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. You are becoming addicted to keeping promises to yourself. By the end of week 1 you have 7 consecutive wins. In week 2 you add the 5-minute movement. Now you're at 7 minutes total. Still manageable. Still simple enough that your sleepy brain cannot talk you out of it. The night before, lay out your workout clothes. Fill your water bottle. Clear a space for movement. Remove every obstacle. People who plan the when and where and how are 91% more likely to follow through. Compare that to 35% for people who rely on motivation. In week 3 you add the mental programming. Gratitude and affirmations. Now you are at 10 minutes. This is where you start noticing changes beyond the morning. Better mood throughout the day. Improved focus. Less afternoon crash. Better sleep. In week 4 you add the final 5 minutes. Priority setting and visualization. Now you are executing the complete 15-minute protocol. Notice what happened. You did not shock your system. You eased into excellence. You built the habit one component at a time. This gradual approach is based on progressive overload. Your brain adapts best to incremental changes. Dramatic changes trigger resistance. Small consistent increases allow your neural networks to strengthen without triggering pushback. Now let me address the obstacles. The claim that you are not a morning person is false. There is no morning person gene. What you call not being a morning person is a collection of habits repeated so many times they feel like identity. Your body adapts to whatever pattern you establish. It just needs consistency. The claim that you do not have time is also false. The average person spends over 2 hours on their phone every day. You cannot find 15 minutes for the activity most likely to transform your life. This is not a time problem. This is a priority problem. If you keep forgetting, link your routine to something you already do automatically. The moment your alarm stops, start your routine. No gap. No decision point. Just automatic execution. If you miss days and give up, remember that perfectionism is killing you. One missed day has almost zero impact on habit formation. What kills people is the cascade after the miss. Missing leads to shame. Shame leads to avoidance. Avoidance leads to missing again. Adopt the 2-day rule. Never miss twice in a row. 1 miss is life. 2 misses is a new pattern. Get back on track no matter what. The transformation timeline. The first week is the honeymoon phase. Your brain releases dopamine in response to novelty. You feel excited and energized. Enjoy it, but do not mistake it for transformation. Days 4 through 7 are when reality hits. The novelty wears off. Your brain recognizes this as a repeated pattern and begins to resist. This is when most people quit. They feel tired and they hit snooze and they tell themselves they will start again later. But this resistance is a sign that change is happening. Your subconscious wants to keep you the same because same means safe. Push through. The resistance is temporary. By day 8 through 14 you enter the strengthening phase. The routine requires less conscious effort. You reach for your water bottle automatically. Your body expects the movement. What was a fragile new pattern is becoming a reinforced highway. By days 15 through 21 you reach the breakthrough. The routine shifts from something you do to something you are. Missing it feels wrong, like leaving without brushing your teeth. Around day 21, habits become encoded in deeper brain regions associated with automatic behaviors. Your prefrontal cortex hands control to your habit center. The routine starts feeling effortless, not because you became more disciplined, but because your brain rewired itself. By day 30, the routine is integrated into your identity. You do not think of yourself as trying to build a routine. You think of yourself as someone who has a routine. Identity-based change is 3 times more likely to stick. When your morning practice becomes who you are, your brain fights to maintain consistency. Month 2 is optimization. The basic routine is automatic. Now your brain fine-tunes it. You might adjust timing or discover which movements energize you most. This is mastery emerging. Month 3 brings permanent structural changes. What happens now is not just behavioral. It is physical alteration of your brain architecture. MRI studies show that people who maintain consistent practices for 12 weeks have measurably different brains. Increased gray matter density in learning and memory areas. Thicker prefrontal cortex. Improved communication between brain regions. These are permanent upgrades to your cognitive hardware. After 6 months, you achieve habit mastery. The routine is completely automatic. The compound returns become exponential. Career advancement. Better relationships. Enhanced creativity. Unshakable confidence. Life satisfaction scores 40 to 50% higher. This is what consistency creates. The identity shift. Let me tell you about a man who smoked 3 packs a day for 27 years. He tried to quit dozens of times. Patches and gum and hypnosis and cold turkey. Nothing worked. Then one afternoon, his 4-year-old daughter found him smoking and asked a simple question. "Daddy, why are you hurting yourself?" In that moment, something shifted inside him. Not his behavior, his identity. He stopped being a smoker trying to quit. He became a father who does not poison himself in front of his child. He never smoked again. This is the secret that separates permanent transformation from temporary motivation. Most people focus on what they want to achieve instead of who they want to become. When you say, "I want to have a morning routine," you express a desire. But desires are weak. They evaporate under pressure. When you say, "I am someone who starts each day with intention," you make a statement about identity. Identity is powerful. Identity persists. Identity shapes every decision without conscious thought. Research shows that identity-based change is 3 times more likely to stick. When you change who you believe you are, your behaviors naturally align. You do not have to force yourself to act according to your identity. You simply do what people like you do. A person who identifies as someone who prioritizes their morning does not force themselves out of bed. They get up because that is what they do. The snooze button loses its power because pressing it would conflict with who they are. Every morning you complete your routine, you cast a vote for your new identity. Every day you follow through, you reinforce the neural networks that encode your sense of self. After 30 to 60 days, brain imaging shows measurable changes in how you process self-relevant information. You become a different person at the neural level. Engineering your environment. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. Every single time. You can have the strongest intentions and the deepest commitment and the clearest understanding of why this matters. Your environment will still win. The most disciplined people do not rely on discipline. They rely on environment design. They engineer their surroundings to make success inevitable and failure nearly impossible. At 8 p.m., dim your lights to 30 to 50%. This signals your brain to produce melatonin. Bright evening light delays melatonin by 1 to 2 hours. At 9 p.m., lay out everything for your routine. Workout clothes visible. Water bottle filled. Equipment ready. Remove all friction from tomorrow morning. At 9:30 p.m., set your intention for tomorrow. Write your priority on paper and place it where you will see it first thing. At 10 p.m., begin your sleep ritual. Same activities in same order. Your brain loves predictability. At 10:30 p.m., electronics go off. Blue light suppresses melatonin for hours. Keep your phone in another room. If you use it as an alarm, buy a separate clock. Temperature matters. Keep your bedroom between 65 and 68 degrees. Your body needs to cool down to initiate sleep. Darkness matters more. Blackout curtains or sleep mask. Cover LED lights. Your room should be so dark you cannot see your hand. Consider a sunrise alarm that gradually increases light before your wake time. This mimics natural dawn. You wake more gently and feel alert faster. Place your water where you will see it immediately. If it is on your nightstand, reaching for it becomes automatic. If it is in the kitchen, you have to decide. Decisions are where routines die. Lay out complete workout attire including socks and shoes. Do not make yourself think when you are groggy. Every second searching is a second your brain can talk you out of moving. Create a specific playlist. The same music each morning becomes a powerful trigger. Eventually, just hearing the first notes shifts your state. Explain your routine to family. Ask them not to interrupt you for 15 minutes. Better yet, invite them to join. Tell someone about your commitment. Track your consistency. Knowing someone might ask dramatically increases follow-through. Your environment is working on you whether you design it or not. Right now it is producing the results you have. If you want different results, you need a different environment. The decision. We started with a truth. The difference between the top 1% and everyone else comes down to what they do in the first 15 minutes of each day. Now you have everything you need. The exact sequence. The neuroscience. The implementation strategy. The troubleshooting. The psychology. You understand why most people fail and you know how to avoid every pitfall. The question is no longer whether this works. The science has answered that. The only question is whether you will use it. Make a decision right now. Not a vague intention. Not adding this to a list of things you might try. A real commitment. 30 days. 2 minutes in week 1. 7 minutes in week 2. 10 minutes in week 3. 15 minutes from week 4 onward. Track it. Notice the changes. Watch how other areas of your life improve without conscious effort. Where will you be in 1 year if you start tomorrow? What will change in your career and your relationships and your health? Who will you become? Now imagine 1 year from now if you do not start. If you keep waking up reactive. If you keep giving away your clarity before you use it. If you stay in the same patterns. The gap between those two futures is enormous. And it comes down to 15 minutes. 5 years from now there will be 2 versions of you. One who started and one who did not. One who rewired their brain for peak performance. One who settled for average. The only difference is your decision right now. Not tomorrow. Not Monday. Not when things calm down. Right now. The top 1% are not waiting for permission. They are not waiting for perfect conditions. They are not waiting for motivation. They are executing while everyone else makes excuses. Your transformation begins now. Your time is here. The journey starts in 15 minutes. Welcome to the top 1%.